What's up guys, welcome to the video. Perfect World Games has recently come out and announced the Tower Fantasy Warp server for global, launching on November 25th. For those who don't know what that is, this is a brand new version of Tower Fantasy that removes the gacha system for weapons. They made premium outfits now grindable, added a trading station, an auction house, life skills, basically a ton of MMO style progression and content. In my last video, we looked at how the reboot server reshaped Tower Fantasy and what that can mean for the Warp server. So now that it's finally coming to global and I've been playing the Chinese version for a little over a month, it's time to explore the Warp server's features and discuss what it gets right, what it gets wrong, and whether it could truly succeed. Alright, with that said, let's get into the Warped server. Alright, let's start off with some optimizations. First off, the Warp server launched in China with Tower Fantasy version 5.4. This is where Chinese players have reported a massive improvement in performance with far less to no stuttering across all regions. Global players have begun to echo that sentiment with the launch of 5.4 in late October, noting a considerable upgrade in performance, especially on mobile and PlayStation 5. I can personally attest to that. As a PS5 player, I can now travel around Kylo without the game becoming a PowerPoint presentation. Secondly, GACHA Studios did a graphical update for the first region, Asperia, upgrading the foliage, lighting, texture quality, and colors, giving it a vibrant coat of paint. Honestly, it looks incredible. Definitely the best visually appealing anime MMO currently on the market. Now, besides the game running and looking better, there have also been some core changes in the open world. For instance, open world enemy levels have been adjusted to operate more like your classic RPG. Now, every region has a fixed level range for mobs, which means they can no longer be adjusted by a world level system. For example, Astra is for level 1 players, Vera is for level 15 players, so on and so forth. So as you progress through the story and unlock newer regions, the enemies will gradually get stronger and stronger. Trust me, I had to learn this the hard way. Quick side note, in case you're wondering why there's a big gap between Astra's and Asperia's level range, even though they share the same open world, that's because the dreaded 4-story skip is still in the game, where you're thrown into the Vera region story without concluding the events of the prologue. As you can imagine, this makes the story's pacing feel disjointed and awkward. Yeah, I don't know why that's still a thing either. I know the 1.0 story is ill-received, but presenting a cohesive narrative is still important. On the plus side, back to the open world, gear can now be obtained from open world sources like exploration pods, completing side quests, and defeating some common open world enemies, including these new elite roaming mobs. These are small changes, but it makes the world feel alive and operate like a proper MMO. That about covers it for basic open world changes for now. Let's move on to what you're really here for, the weapons. So in my last video, I predicted that weapons would drop from dungeons. Since the developer GACHA Studios said all weapons would be free, I assumed we were heading back to the pre-gacha era, like in this beta footage, where weapons would be looted from opening chests in dungeons. Well, I was wrong. Presenting Okay, I know what you're thinking, it's gacha, but hear me out, it's actually not. You see, every day you'll receive something called a Rift Note. A Rift Note lets you spin on the weapon roulette and obtain one random SSR weapon for free. No 50/50s, no pity, no catch. You use a Rift Note, you get a new weapon. Once you've gotten your new weapon, it's removed from the roulette pool, so there isn't a dupe system either. There are currently 2 weapon pools, and to gain access to the second batch, you'll have to clear all the weapons from the first one. Additionally, you can craft Rift Notes by combining 100 Rift Note shards, which you primarily earn from killing world bosses, capped at 50 shards per day. That means every day you'll get a free Rift Note. Every 2 days you can craft an additional one, totaling at 10 free weapons per week. On top of that, in the beginning, they'll send you 6 free weapons directly through your in-game mail. 2 DPS, 2 tank, and 2 healer weapons. Yeah, when they said free, they meant free. Now, when I first saw this system, I wasn't a big fan. Personally, I prefer grinding through dungeons and praying for that one rare drop that could potentially put me ahead of everyone else. But after playing this for a while, I guess it's fine. I suppose they wanted to bridge the gap between their gacha player base and their new MMO base. It works decently if that was their end goal. Now that it's established that Tower Fantasy is no longer a gacha, this means that your damage is no longer dependent on weapon duplicates from a gacha system. Instead, to increase your damage, you'll be grinding for a new material called Resonance Modules. Resonance Modules are central to increasing your weapon's level and damage. In my last video, I predicted that you could possibly have to upgrade to a plus 15 or plus 20 level cap, similar to other anime MMOs like Dragon Nest or Crystal Avantland. Turns out, I was correct. Plus 15 is the upgrade level cap for each weapon. The higher you level up your weapon, the more resonance modules are needed to reach the next level threshold. To upgrade your weapon, you'll need modules corresponding to your weapon's element. Flame weapons use flame modules, frost weapons use frost modules, you get the picture. And unlike the aforementioned games, there isn't a chance at failing an upgrade. If you have the materials, there is a 100% chance of success. The catch is that weapons require a lot of modules, especially beyond the plus 10 upgrade mark. However, typically by plus 7 or plus 9, your weapon should gain full functionality. Plus 10 and beyond is usually just higher scaling percentage boosts. The weapon dupe advancement effects as well as your matrices effects from the main server are now integrated into your weapon's upgrade levels. So as you level up your weapons, you'll unlock familiar special effects. The best ways to obtain resonance modules is by killing world bosses, doing void rifts, or by farming a new open world activity called Limit Break Anchor Points. Limit Break Anchor Points are portals distributed along the Vera region. Anchor Points will spawn in fixed areas in the open world, which can only be discovered through manual exploration. Each portal has a difficulty of 1 star to 3 stars. The higher the stars, the higher the difficulty, the higher the difficulty, the higher the rewards. If you played Tower Fantasy before, you might remember Stargates. Think of Anchor Points as their spiritual successor. And instead of sending you to an instant scene like Stargates used to, Anchor Points spawn the mobs and or bosses in the open world. And while only a party of 4 can team up and challenge an Anchor Point, anyone in the open world can jump in and help you attack the enemies. Unfortunately, people outside the challenging party won't receive any rewards. Loot earned from Anchor Points can vary from resonance modules, relic shards, hairstyles, outfits, accessories, dance emotes, and mount shards. Earnings won from clearing the Anchor Points are sent to your personal loot bag. Item inside your loot bag can only be added to your inventory by spending something called extraction points. You have 1,000 extraction points per week, and the more rare the items are in your loot bag, the more extraction points are needed to transfer it to your inventory. Use them wisely or you just might miss out on a rare drop. Now when it comes to weapon balancing, the Warp server follows the exact same readjustments as the Reboot server. This means that dual elements have been removed and some weapons have their roles switched. For example, Tian Lang's weapon has switched roles with Meryl Ironheart's. Tian Lang is now a tank and Meryl Ironheart is now a DPS. Grey Fox also switched with Faisei. Grey Fox is now a damage buffer and Faisei is now a healer. Of course, you still have your 4 roles or classes: Balance, Attacker, Benediction, and Fortitude. Each role has special bonuses activated in team play except for Balance. I'm not sure why, seems like a missed opportunity. For this video, we're going to focus on the Attacker role since that's the only class I was able to test. For team building, the Warp server ditches forced element synergy of the main server. So instead of creating teams around one element type, the Warp server has teams forged around different types of playstyles. There are normal attack builds, dodge attack builds, skill damage builds, high burst damage builds, and discharge damage builds. Each weapon contains a hexagon display mapping out all of its strengths and shortcomings across all its stats. There's shatter, charge, damage boost, total damage, restoration, and survivability. Each stat has a numerical value which determines their proficiency in each field. Below each graph is a brief description on the weapon's playstyle and what type of weapons you should pair it with. In my last video, we explored a normal attack build using Osterada's weapon Hellfire as the main DPS. That was a build in the Reboot server, but the same balancing is still applied. So this time we'll take a look at a skill damage build centered around one of my favorite characters, Yan Miao, and her weapon, Equilibrium. Equilibrium, according to its description, is a powerful skill damage type weapon with a Scorching Blade effect. Using normal attacks after releasing skill can deal high damage, making it suitable for pairing with other skill damage oriented weapons. So in order to build our team, we want to focus on supporting both of Equilibrium's strong suits. Firstly, skill damage, since it's a skill damage type weapon, and secondly, normal attack damage, since it states using normal attack damage after releasing a skill can deal high damage. So in our first slot, we're going to use Grey Fox's weapon, the Witch's Key, a strong skill buffing weapon, and in our third slot, we'll equip Antoria's weapon, Requiem, a very powerful normal attack and dodge attack buffing weapon. For your rotation in combat, you want to focus on casting your skills on your buffer weapons first before moving to your main DPS. You start with Requiem, use skill 1 and skill 2, switch over to the Witch's Key, do skill, and then you'll switch over to Equilibrium, cast skill once again, then do an optimized attack pattern consisting of dodge attacks to consume the Scorching Blades, followed by normal attacks until Grey Fox's weapon is off cooldown, rinse and repeat. This is a pure DPS build, but in instances like the Bygone Phantasm, you might want to switch out a buffer unit for a weapon strong in the shield shattering category, to take down enemy shields. This includes units like Samir, Yanuo, and a fan favorite King, so yes, King is back on the market again. In 4-player instances, they've also added a new team ultimate attack. This ultimate attack can be activated by completing a random minigame mechanic during a boss fight. This could range from collecting orbs around the field or by simply attacking the boss with a certain damage type. Once it's completed, you hit F and then the team ultimate activates. To be honest, it doesn't look or sound that great. It could use some work, but honestly having a more interactive combat is always a plus. Now moving on to equipment, I'm happy to report that the progression system has finally been simplified. No more Titan gear, no more supercomputing evolution, no more cosmic systems. All of that is gone. You simply have 12 pieces of equipment divided into 8 pieces of basic gear and 4 pieces of raid gear. Equipment now comes with a level requirement, and each tier is available in blue, purple, and gold rarities. Each piece of gear includes base stats along with a few random bonus stats. However, the usual RNG rerolling you would expect from a gacha game has been completely removed. So if you don't like the random stats on a piece of equipment, you'll just have to find a better piece of gear by queuing up in joint operations. Joint operations are one of the main ways for you to acquire your 8 pieces of basic gear. The 4-player dungeon is static throughout the week, and then will rotate to a new one every Monday. I'm also excited to announce that joint operations are no longer tied to a stamina system, so yes, that means they're infinitely grindable. That said, joint operations still operate with a vitality system. You have 72 vitality in total, and using vitality to open chests increases your odds of obtaining golden gear at the cost of 8 vitality. If you run out, you can still use the open directly option for a lower chance at golden gear. Don't worry, it's still possible to get, as seen in this picture right here. If you end up with basic gear you don't need, you can dismantle it into a material called refined ore, which is used to level up your basic gear pieces. The higher the rarity of the recycled gear, the more refined ore is converted. 8-player raids have also been reworked and now drop raid gear, and instead of being limited to 2 attempts per week, raids are now infinitely grindable too. You get 2 free chances at golden raid gear each week, and once you've used those up, you can keep grinding, you'll just have to work a bit harder for gold drops. Recycling raid gear also works the same way, except it converts into refined carbon, which is used to exclusively enhance your raid gear. They've also added a brand new layer to gear progression called the Equipment Expansion System. Equipment expansion revolves around uploading expansion packs to your gear to gain special effects. Each piece of equipment can have multiple expansion packs uploaded, but only one can be active at a time. If you equip matching expansion packs across multiple gear slots, you'll unlock set bonuses that enhance their special effects. Think of them as matrices, but directly linked to your equipment instead of your weapons. These effects can range from dealing AoE damage under certain conditions, to granting entirely new active skills you can use in combat. Currently, there are only 2 main ways to obtain expansion packs: Final Trial, an 8-player endgame mode where your team faces a 6-enemy boss rush, demanding coordination and strong builds, or Legion Assault, a new guild PvE mode where your guild challenges floors filled with mobs and bosses within a time limit. Up to 16 players can enter at once, and success heavily depends on upgrading your guild skill tree to strengthen everyone participating. Even if you don't actively join the fights, as long as you're part of the guild, you can still claim the rewards. And speaking of guilds, being in one is actually crucial for your gear progression. In the crew store, you can purchase weekly equipment using crew merit points earned through weekly missions or daily activities inside your guild house. Right now, those activities include events like dancing on the guild floor or opening gift boxes dropped by Snowy. Once you max out your guild house activity points for the day, you'll gain a temporary buff that doubles the blue tier gear drops from joint operations, which means more refined ore. Of course, grinding dungeons and raids aren't the only way for you to obtain gear. Like in other MMOs, there's also life skills. Life skills are non-combat activities that let the players gather resources and engage with the open world beyond fighting. The life skills in the Warp server are gathering, fishing, cooking, crafting, omnium engineering, and taming. Gathering is simply where you'll explore land and sea and collect various materials. Fishing is rather self-explanatory: gather fish in designated fishing areas and collect meat and scales. Cooking involves using ingredients to cook meals that grant useful buffs. The next 2 skills, crafting and omnium engineering, use scaling tables located in Hycros to create basic gear. Crafting is used to forge armor, arm guards, boots, and belts using mechanical parts, while Omnium Engineering covers the legs, helmets, shoulders, and gloves by combining elemental crystals. Creating equipment through these life skills require blueprints, which can only be looted from joint operations or can be bought from other players. Then the last life skill is Taming. Taming is where you'll be domesticating wildlife across different regions by feeding them various types of food before capturing them. Once captured, you'll bring them back to your personal island and raise them with store-bought pet food. Some animals will take longer than others to fully domesticate depending on the taming level required to capture them. Either way, you'll end up slaughtering them for their meat and leather. Honestly, kinda sad. There's also a chance for your animals to mutate into battle pets. Battle pets can participate in the Pokemon battle mode and can earn you exclusive mounts as a reward. You can only have 2 life skills at a time, so figure out what you want to be and choose your professions wisely. And before you ask, yes, life skills are limited by an energy system. I know this will turn people off, but given how much there is to do in the MMO server, trust me, there's a lot, there was bound to be a limit somewhere. And the limit kind of helps with keeping things manageable. Unlimited life skill grinding on top of everything else would probably end up being exhausting. Either way, life skills are a core part of the game's economy, and everything you gather or craft flows through the trading house. The trading house is where you'll be spending and earning the trading currency, tradable dark crystals, to buy various items like materials, equipment, and outfits. Tradable dark crystals are best obtained by selling materials earned through your life skills or by completing commissions from this NPC in Hycros named Howard. These commissions will require you to complete bounties by submitting 3 materials of a random quantity. 2 submissions will be linked to your life skills, with 1 being unrelated. You'll have to find the unrelated materials or buy them from the trading house to try to turn a profit. It's important to save up your tradable dark crystals because you'll eventually want to participate in the auction house. The auction house is filled with a bunch of rare items dropped from world bosses that you can bid for against other players. How it works in opening a world boss chest is starts a personal auction. Within 10 minutes, you could either choose to claim these drops with bound dark crystals, which are earned through exploration and events, or if you choose not to, they'll go straight to the auction house for other players to bid for. The rarest items like gold resonance modules, mounts, and outfits are present on the auction house, and the bidding will end at midnight. It's a competitive market, so if you want to avoid the PvP, you can always buy the item at a fixed price at a huge markup. Not recommended, but it's an option. This outfit I've been wearing throughout the course of this video is something I bought off the auction house. It takes 10 outfit shards to unlock an outfit, so with each shard being around 115 dark crystals, I got it for a little over 1000 DC, which I earned by selling materials from life skills. Normally in the gacha server, this outfit would only be obtainable by getting Brevi to A3, which is 4 dupes, which can easily be over 30,000 dark crystals. Honestly, it's surprisingly a decent economic system. Everything in the Warp server can be earned, traded, or crafted by players themselves. Okay, with all core systems out of the way, let's address the elephant in the room. Is the Warp server pay to win? Honestly, that's not really a simple yes or no question. Pay to win isn't a binary concept, it realistically exists on a spectrum. And to figure out where the Warp server lands on that spectrum, we need to take a closer look at its monetization. And from there, you can decide for yourself. When it comes to monetization, you have the standard $5 monthly pass. This will give you daily resonance modules and a small amount of both tradable and bound dark crystals every day you log in. Then there's a $15 battle pass, which gives you tradable dark crystals and resonance modules. This pass can be upgraded to a $20 advanced pass to include a mount and some chat box accessories if you care about that. You can also top up and get tradable dark crystals and Tanium. Tanium is a premium currency used for this gacha wheel that can give you random outfits that you can sell on the trading house. There's also a gacha wheel for a smart servant who can fight alongside you. I'm not sure how powerful she is, but I've heard she's kind of bad. She's also unlockable through world boss drops, but it takes 100 very rare shards to get her, so realistically not possible to get her for free, at least not anytime soon. So if your definition of pay to win is strict and spending money for any type of advantage is considered pay to win, then yes, the Warp server would be pay to win, but so would every MMO on the market. I mean, even RuneScape, which I think is the best MMO of all time, you can even buy in-game currency with real-life money via the bond system. Unfortunately, it's just the current state of the live service model, and Tower of Fantasy is no exception. I would say on a pay-to-win spectrum, the Warp server lands itself somewhere around pay-to-skip, also known as pay-for-convenience. A lot of people don't consider pay-for-convenience as pay-to-win because you're paying for things you can normally grind for, but it's completely understandable if this is a negative for you. At least it's nowhere near as pay to win as the original Tower of Fantasy, which was pay for power, much like every other gacha game on the market. But from my experience as a free-to-play, you don't need to spend money to do well in the MMO server, but paying certainly does help. If you treat the monthly and battle pass like a $20 monthly subscription, you'll do just fine. No need to purchase anything beyond that. All in all, the Warp server has turned Tower Fantasy into a solid anime MMO. As someone who's played the original Tower Fantasy for a few years, the Warp server feels like a massive upgrade, shifting from the daily login log-off gacha slop to an actual MMO experience. Honestly, it got tiring spending money every other patch on the newest must-have unit. Eventually, you either run out of money or you run out of care. That said, here are my updated scores for each version of Tower of Fantasy. The Warp server is a noticeable improvement across the board despite still having a messy UI and a horrible 4-story skip in the beginning of the game. One last thing, I want to touch on something I mentioned in my last video. I said my biggest concern was netcode, because no matter how good a game is, if the server can't handle the players, it's going to be a bad game. The good news is, even while playing on a CN server from the US East Coast, I didn't run into many issues aside from some expected input delay due to ping. Considering the distance, the netcode felt pretty decent. The bad news is that according to longtime CN players, the netcode has always been just that, decent. There haven't been any noticeable improvements, which could spell trouble for a global launch if it carries over unchanged. But now I'm curious what you guys think. Are you guys excited for the Warp server? If you played Tower Fantasy before, will you be jumping back in for a new launch? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that said, I will see you guys later, and peace out.